Well, good morning, everyone. This is a impressive turnout for a gray and rainy Monday morning. And it's a credit to our hosts and the all-star lineup that has been assembled that we have such a strong turnout. Carnegie, let me just say, has been putting forward an impressive array of insights and analysis to move forward policy conversations across the full spectrum of global issues. And I'm not just saying that because my former boss is the head of Carnegie. But Bill, I have to say you are dearly missed at the department. And often when we're dealing with delicate or difficult issues, one can hear in the corridor, "What would Bill do?" With Bill Burns, Ashley Tellis, Raja Mohan, Milam Vaishnav, all here at Carnegie, one could say they can have this conference without any of the rest of us there and just have it as an internal conversation. So I'm dearly pleased and honored that Arun and I were included in this lineup today. Finally, let me also just say a word of thanks to CII and to Chandrajit Banerjee, whom I have had the pleasure of working with for at least 15 of the 20 years that CII has been active in the United States and on the U.S. India relationship. And I have to say, for all of those years, CII has always been at the forefront of moving forward the policy conversations between our two countries. I'm very happy to be here with my good friend and colleague, Ambassador Arun Singh. In fact, I should just conclude my remarks by saying I'd like to associate myself with all of the remarks of the gentleman from the great country of India. But I will try to add a few thoughts. Today, as we reflect on U.S. India ties and this defining partnership for the century ahead, as President Obama has characterized it, it's also important to reflect on how we have progressed so much over the past decade. And it clearly starts with the civil nuclear deal. From the beginning, that deal was about much more than just megawatts and reactors. For over 30 years, the nuclear issue had been the elephant in the room that had cast a shadow on U.S.-India relations. But in 2005, our two countries decided to tackle head-on that elephant and to progress the relationship. And I must say, we have succeeded beyond our wildest expectations. Nothing speaks more to the essence of good diplomacy than taking an obstacle and turning it into a mutual advantage. With the civil nuclear deal, we did just that. It gave us each confidence in the other and brought our governments, our businesses, and our peoples closer together. And while I was watching this negotiation from my perch on Capitol Hill, I know the extraordinary amount of effort that this entailed by people in both countries over a sustained period of weeks, months, and years, by an extraordinary group of committed individuals, many of whom are present in this room today. Even after the deal was signed and ratified, implementation of civil nuclear cooperation itself encountered delays both political and technical. It has required patient and continuous and determined engagement. But the Republic Day understanding achieved by the President and the Prime Minister this past January moves the ball further down that road and makes clear our conviction that American energy companies will be helping India light its smart cities and power its modern factories in the years to come. Looking back over the last 10 years, I'm reminded of the old African proverb, if you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, go together. President Bush made his Rose Garden announcement in 2005 as a marathon effort that was launched between our two countries, which would include 7 leader-level summits in Washington and in Delhi, as well as countless meetings, dialogues, and some very late nights. And the public servants and patriots who forged this partnership understood that it wouldn't be easy, but also understood that it was imperative. It took courage to do something big, but to do otherwise would have been a disservice to our citizens, present and future. So 10 years ago, access to nuclear, space, and other forms of high technology were among the most contentious issues between India and the United States, as the ambassador alluded. Today, those issues are the very foundations on which we are building this strategic partnership. To bring India into the non-proliferation mainstream, we are supporting India's phased membership in the 4 export control regimes, starting with the missile technology control regime this fall. And in the defense space, the United States is now India's largest supplier, and we are launching a new co-development and co-production projects that are expanding our defense ties and advancing Prime Minister Modi's Make in India initiative. Our defense ties have paid off in a palpable sense, as India has used US-based, US-sourced C-17s in its relief efforts in Nepal and its evacuation efforts in Yemen this past year. Not only to provide support to its own citizens, but to provide rescue and relief to citizens from around the world. Last month, Secretary Ash Carter, a true champion of the US-India partnership, announced a new aircraft carrier working group to support India's indigenous carrier program. And Ashley, as I was reading your report from 2005, which was quite prescient in all of its manifestations, even you could not have predicted that we would be where we are today. In space, NASA and ISRO collaborated to explore the surface of the moon in the Chandrayaan mission, and last fall, our Mars orbiters were tweeting to each other in space. In cyberspace, India and the United States are working together to shape internet governance and expand cybersecurity cooperation. It is somewhat cliche to talk about the US-India relationship encompassing nearly every field of human endeavor, but it's just the fact. From outer space to cyberspace, we're in it together. And our first strategic and commercial dialogue will be later this fall, hosted by Secretaries Kerry and Pritzker here in Washington. And it will showcase the efforts that we are undertaking to converge our societies, our economies, and our foreign policies. And it'll give us a new platform to build on past results and work towards the future progress. So over the next 10 years, we will work towards greater convergence on trade. As Arun mentioned, in 2005, our bilateral trade was less than 30 billion. Today is over 100 billion. And we want to get to that 500 billion in two-way trade. But first, we must work together to reduce investment barriers and streamline commercial regulations, open new markets, and usher in new technologies and innovation. We must invest in each other's economic success as we are invested in each other's strategic success. Over the next 10 years, we will continue to bring international pressure on terrorist groups around the world who target Indians and Americans alike. 14 years after the Indian parliament was attacked by terrorists, the Indian government is helping to inaugurate the new Afghan parliament, a gift from India to the people of Afghanistan and a testament to the resilience and freedom of democracy in the face of terror and brutality. Over the next 10 years, we will build upon our joint vision for the Asia-Pacific and for the Indian Ocean region to promote regional development, a rules-based order, and trade that is free and fair. In September, we will have our first ministerial-level trilateral between the United States, India, and Japan, moving us all closer towards this goal as we strengthen our regional economic cooperation, work together in ensuring greater collaboration on humanitarian assistance and disaster response, and increase cooperation across the Asia-Pacific. Over the next 10 years, we will work together on energy. As the Prime Minister has noted, India will need to provide 400 million of its citizens with reliable energy. This is key to India's prosperity moving forward. And to secure that future, the United States and India, through our clean energy partnerships, are mobilizing nearly $3 billion in new renewable energy investments over the past 5 years. Our nuclear cooperation with India is also a vital component of India's energy future in reducing greenhouse gas emissions, leaving cleaner air, and providing reliable electricity that can help increase investment, stabilize food prices, and power India's economic rise. I'm convinced that the United States and India can and will deliver a better life for future generations, not just in our respective countries, but as has been noted, benefit citizens of the world. I believe we will see a day when businesses in the United States and India can reap the benefits of a high standard bilateral investment treaty, and I believe we will see the day when India will be a new entrant into APEC and meet the standards of the world's most progressive trade pacts. Innovation and technology will enable our economies to be powered by clean energy and to help transform India's energy mix, tap new markets, and limit the impacts of climate change. Greater partnership across the Indo-Pacific will ensure economic growth and secure commercial sea lanes, reducing the impact of natural disasters as well. In fact, I think the convergence and cooperation between our two countries in the coming decades will be so strong and so self-evident that we will no longer be asking ourselves about the next civil nuclear moment in the U.S.-India relationship. Having come this far together, I'm confident that the two nations are up to the challenge of the decades to come, and that the path that we have set for the next decade is an ambitious one, and that the progress of the past decade, forced in the crucible of the civil nuclear deal, will help us overcome the obstacles to achieving even greater possibilities in the decades to come. So thank you again for inviting me to speak and for all that you do to bring our two countries into greater partnership every day. Thank you.